Samuel L. Jackson didn't come to late night with Seth Meyers intending to ignite headlines, but from the second he stepped into the building, he sensed something wasn't right. The studio, normally buzzing with a kind of upbeat, coordinated chaos, felt more like a pot left on the stove too long, bubbling, simmering, and on the verge of boiling over. Assistants hurried past him with tight smiles, producers whispered in clipped tones, and Seth's usual pre-show walk-through seemed strangely stiff. Samuel watched it all with that calm, discerning stare of his, the one that made directors rewrite entire scenes on set. "Welcome back, Mr. Jackson," a stagehand said, though even his voice carried a nervous tremor. Samuel gave him a nod. "You guys expecting a hurricane tonight or something?" The stagehand didn't answer, just offered a quick grin that said everything and nothing at once. Before Samuel could think too much on it, he was ushered into makeup, then wardrobe, then to the green room where his publicist waited. She looked stressed, more stressed than she should have been for a routine talk show appearance. "You good?" Samuel asked, narrowing his eyes. Her smile wobbled. "Yeah, totally. Just normal show stuff." He didn't buy it, but before he could press her, a producer popped his head in. 2 minutes, Mr. Jackson. Seth's really excited about this one. That phrasing made Samuel's eyebrow twitch. "This one? Oh, the producer cleared his throat, your segment. He's really looking forward to it." The door shut before Samuel could question him. His publicist exhaled heavily, straightening his jacket like it was a distraction. "Just go out there, charm them like you always do," she said. "Stick to the movie talking points." He gave her a long look. "Is there something I should know?" But once again, no answer. Just that same strained smile. The call came for him to head to the stage. The noise of the audience filtered through the curtains, a mix of cheers, chatter, and something else. Something expectant, like they were waiting for sparks that hadn't been promised to them. Samuel stepped onto the stage, and the applause hit like a wave. He smiled politely, but his senses were already tuned in, picking up on the tension coursing beneath the surface. Seth stood to greet him, momentarily hiding whatever irritation or eagerness had been written on his face backstage. "Samuel L. Jackson, everyone," Seth announced with a flourish. Samuel sat, settling comfortably into his chair, though he didn't miss the way Seth leaned forward, too eager, too pointed, like he had a mission. They opened with harmless chatter. Seth asked about Samuel's new film, joked about his legendary on-screen yelling, poked fun at his social media presence. Samuel delivered anecdote after anecdote, the audience laughing, clapping, nodding along. For a brief moment, things actually felt normal. Then Seth's smile tightened. "So," Seth said casually, "you've been trending this week." Samuel gave a slow, skeptical blink. "I trend every week. That ain't news." Laughter. But Seth wasn't joking. "No, I mean the comments you made about the state of modern cinema," he said. "Some people thought they were a little harsh." Samuel tilted his head. "Harsh? Nah, honest. You basically said blockbuster films today are repetitive," Seth pressed. "That's a pretty strong critique." "That's a fact," Samuel countered. "Not a critique," the audience murmured. Seth's posture shifted, growing sharper, more confrontational. "So, you don't think you owe anyone some clarification?" Seth asked. "A lot of people work hard on those films." "Didn't say they didn't," Samuel replied. "Just said audiences deserve something new." Seth chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "Sure, but isn't it easy to say that when you're already, well, you?" Samuel sat back, slowly folding his arms. "You got a point you trying to make, Seth? 'Cause it sounds like you're fishing." The room tensed. The audience sensed it, the producers sensed it, Seth definitely sensed it, but instead of stepping back, Seth pushed harder. "Look, Samuel, I'm just saying, if you make bold statements, you should be ready for bold questions." Samuel's jaw flexed. "I'm always ready," he said. "But don't twist my words just to stir drama." "Oh, come on," Seth said, waving a dismissive hand. "It's all part of the conversation." "No," Samuel said, voice dropping low and firm. "It's not." A hush fell across the room. Seth leaned back, crossing his legs, trying to reclaim control of the moment. "So you're saying you can dish it out, but you can't take it?" That did it. Samuel stood, slowly, deliberately. The audience erupted in gasps. Seth's eyes widened just enough to betray surprise. "I can take anything," Samuel said. "What I won't take is disrespect." The set froze. Producers scrambled off stage, unsure whether to intervene or let the cameras roll. And with one final look, cold, steady, unapologetic, Samuel turned and walked off the stage. The audience sat in stunned silence, while Seth stared after him, jaw tight, breath caught somewhere between shock and regret. Backstage was chaos the moment Samuel stepped behind the curtain, but he moved with the controlled, deliberate calm of a man who refused to let anger dictate his stride. The hallway lights buzzed faintly overhead as he walked, every footstep echoing through the narrow corridor. Crew members shifted out of his way like parting water, their eyes wide with confusion, admiration, fear. Nobody quite knew what to make of what had unfolded on live television. A young assistant jogged after him. "Mr. Jackson." "Sir." "Wait, please." Samuel stopped but didn't turn. "What?" She swallowed hard. "The producers, they want to talk to you. They're saying maybe we can reframe the moment, maybe we can bring you back out." "No." Samuel's voice was steady, not sharp. "Whatever they wanted from me, they already tried to get it out there. I'm not walking back into a setup." The assistant wilted, nodding, though her eyes darted nervously toward the stage door where the muffled sound of Seth stumbling into an awkward joke drifted through. They had gone to commercial, but the tension still vibrated through the walls. Samuel resumed walking. At the far end of the hallway, his publicist practically sprinted toward him, tablet in hand, face pale like she'd witnessed a building collapse. "Samuel," she breathed, "you just detonated the internet." He shrugged. "Not the first time." "No, but this is different." She turned the tablet toward him, showing a flood of notifications. Clips of him standing up, screenshots, slowed down replays, close-ups of Seth's expression, were already spreading. "Some people think you were provoked. Others think you overreacted. There's a trending debate about respect in interviews, and," she exhaled shakily, "and the studio says you were escorted off set." "That's a damn lie," Samuel said, stopping in his tracks. "Escorted? By who?" "The air. My own legs. They're spinning it," she said softly, trying to save face. "Figures," he muttered. They reached the exit. He pushed open the heavy door, and the city's night air hit him like a breath of clarity, cool, grounding, refreshingly indifferent. For a moment, he just stood there, letting the tension bleed out of his shoulders while the distant sounds of traffic hummed around them. A black SUV idled at the curb, his driver already holding the door open. As Samuel stepped inside, his publicist hovered beside him. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yeah," he said, "I'm fine. You know why? Because I didn't lose my cool. I stood up, and if they can't handle that, that's on them." She nodded, though her eyes remained full of worry. As the car pulled away, Samuel's phone vibrated nonstop. Messages rolled in, some from friends, some from directors he'd worked with, some from fellow actors who had publicly or privately clashed with interview hosts before. One message from a well-known actor simply read, "Good. About time somebody walked." Another said, "They tried the same thing on me last year. Glad you didn't let them corner you." Samuel sighed, leaning back against the seat. He didn't want to be the center of controversy. He didn't wake up aiming for headlines or trending hashtags. All he wanted was a straight, respectful conversation, not whatever stunt Seth had been trying to pull. Meanwhile, back inside the studio, chaos had turned into full-blown panic. Seth sat in his dressing room, head in his hands, while producers argued about whether to apologize, spin the narrative, or pretend it was all part of the planned excitement. One producer insisted, "We just ask the tough questions. That's our job." Another countered, "We antagonized him." Seth pushed. "We all saw it. This could go bad for us." Seth exhaled shakily. "I wasn't trying to start a fight." But the truth was, he had wanted a moment, a sharp exchange to boost ratings, something edgy, something viral. He just hadn't expected Samuel to call the bluff head-on. By midnight, the moment was the top story on entertainment sites. Some headlines painted Seth as a provocateur. Others portrayed Samuel as unpredictable. But most agreed on one thing: the interview had crossed a line. In his hotel suite, Samuel watched a few of the coverage clips, not out of vanity, but to understand how things were being framed. He saw pundits dissecting his every gesture, fans defending him passionately, and critics accusing him of lacking professionalism. He chuckled dryly. "Professionalism," he repeated under his breath. "Right." His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a director he deeply respected. The message read, "Proud of you. Don't let anyone rewrite what happened." That one made him pause. Not because he needed validation, but because it reminded him why he'd stood up in the first place. He'd spent decades in the industry. He'd dealt with challenging interviews, loaded questions, and manipulative tactics. But he refused, absolutely refused, to let anyone paint him as unreasonable simply because he refused to be belittled. As he finally sat back on the couch, the city lights glowing through the glass behind him, Samuel closed his eyes and let the night settle. Tomorrow would bring statements, clarifications, more chatter, more noise. But tonight, he felt steady, grounded, clear. He hadn't walked out in anger. He'd walked out in principle. And the world, noisy as it was, seemed to understand that, even if it took a minute to catch up.